one of the biggest things I noticed, having spent time here in Philly documenting what happened during the quote unquote peaceful protests versus what I saw today, which was a legitimate peaceful protest, um, and the way they were misrepresenting it yesterday about what it was going to be.
And let's be heard. My name is Mike G, and I'm here with Philly Chris, coming at you with a recap from the Million Maga March, as they called it. Philly Chris, long day.
Yeah, it was a long day, but glad I had the opportunity to go down and be a part of history, Mike. Yeah.
A part of history because you saw black white supremacists, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I think they're on the rise for some reason. Yeah, they're all over the place now. You got to watch out for them.
Yeah, I do have to ask you this because I didn't watch any mainstream media earlier in the day. So my first exposure to this march and this rally was through talking to you during
Hmm.
our live session.
Yeah.
And it looked like there were a lot of people. Later on, after I spoke with you, saw some stories on the internet saying there were a couple of thousand people or a few thousand people. And I said, this can't be right. I mean, just looking at the videos just looking at the background when I'm talking to you and
Hmm.
the short clips that you sent over to me, is that this can't be a couple of thousand people. That's just
Yeah.
false.
I mean, I was live photoshopping a lot of extra people in the background.
You paid a bunch of extras. that
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
wasn't that
Yeah.
wasn't the rally at all. You
No. 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 I
paid
have to
all
come
kinds of
clean. I'm
people.
sorry, Mike. Yeah.
You
There was
paid
like 8 people there, myself, and
you got a bunch of out of work actors to show up
yeah.
and help you out, right? Trick
Yeah.
photography.
Hollywood's not doing too well right now, so. Uh,
So we did have some trouble when you got over to the Supreme Court. We haven't posted anything when you were over at the Supreme
mhm.
Court because there's really no usable footage from our conversation when you were over there. And there were all kinds. I know we're going to get flagged for even talking about this. We got flagged in
Yeah.
the last video as well. But there were all
Right.
kinds of uh, speculations from people that perhaps this was being done on purpose, that the reception was being killed in that
Mhm.
area so nobody could see just how many people were really down at the Supreme Court. So what was it like over there?
I mean, there was a lot of people over there. There was some fencing, and on the other side of the fence, it was almost shoulder to shoulder, all the way up to the steps of the Supreme Court. I found an area that was kind of just elevated above that to look down, so I did get some pictures and some more video that we should certainly share with the listeners later. So I suppose they could make up their own mind on how many people were there, but there had to be at least several hundred thousand people or more. I don't know what a million people looks like. Never been to a party quite that large, but there was a lot of people there. Yeah, definitely not just a few thousand.
So what other things? I know you said at one point you were sitting there and just watching people walk by for a long period of time. Why don't you tell the listeners about that? Because I think these are the kinds of things you look at as clues. Obviously, you weren't in
Hmm.
a helicopter or something where you could see over the top. Why don't you tell everybody about that? How many people you saw at that point?
Yeah, we'll have to get a helicopter for next time.
All right.
Yeah, yeah. I actually
Hopefully
took a
there isn't a
moment
next
to.
time where we're trying to fight to save the election.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I'd rather be in a helicopter for that. So, but yeah, it was interesting. I actually stopped to charge my phone and have a drink, and sat on the sidelines there, looking up toward the Capitol as people were walking by. And I actually took about a half an hour, and there was hundreds and hundreds of people walking by every second, or two or whatever. Just coming right down the main drag there toward the Capitol. So thousands and thousands of people passed me while I was just sitting there, I would imagine.
Yeah, because you think a couple of thousand, that's like a high school auditorium. I think we had a couple of
Yeah,
thousand in my high school auditorium. You don't,
exactly.
you can't take a high school auditorium and walk past a single location for a half an hour. That's ridiculous, no?
Right, exactly. Yeah, and it wasn't the same people, and it was as far as you could see.
The same people. Could you
So
imagine doing that? They're just walking in a circle. They sneak
right,
by.
right, right.
You see the same guys walking by every 30 seconds. Wait a second. I think I kid you not. I was an extra in movies when I was in college. When I'd come home for break, I'd make some additional money while I was home on break, and I was in
Uh-huh.
a Steve Carell movie. And as an extra, what they
Oh,
had
you
you
got to show
do,
me this. I don't know that I ever
yeah.
saw that. Hmm.
Oh, one of the things that they had you do as an extra is you walk behind the actors, and then you get to the end, you turn around and you walk again. So that's pretty
Oh, is that
much.
right? Oh, okay.
So you'll see
Maybe
the
I'm
same.
onto something
If you're
there.
paying attention, you will see the same people. Uh,
That's hilarious. That's
but
hilarious.
that's not what was happening with you. You can assure us of that.
Yeah, and I did take some extended video, so I have actual proof, although it'll probably get flagged, on the social media networks, and you'll have to double check it before you can share it, right? Isn't that what you're seeing now, Mike?
It is outrageous. And
Hmm.
our
Hmm.
last video was just a discussion. We didn't even
Hmm.
we didn't even mention the election. We were just having a discussion about what was going on over in DC and getting flagged. You
Right.
go to try to share it, then it tells you, hey, before you share this, you might want to look into this, check out our sanctioned facts, right? Check out
Right. Yeah.
the talking points that the powers that be have confirmed, just
Hmm.
for your own good, right? We're looking out for you.
Like,
So,
we know you were there, and you were actually the one who took the footage, and it's real, but make sure you double check it. Yeah,
but this
because
is
it's
really
crazy.
what happened. This is we know what
Right.
really happened. You didn't see what
Yeah.
you thought you saw.
Right. Right.
It's funny
Yeah. Up
because
is down and left is right these days. Yeah.
somebody was telling me that they're putting these flags on for just about everything that you share these days. I think it was Liberty Lee said that it's just sharing something else that had nothing to do with politics, and they're just like, "Oh,
Hmm.
are you sure? Make sure that this lines up with our sanctioned facts."
Yeah. Right. Yeah. No, I've had a couple listeners mention it to me that they're seeing that exponentially increase on Facebook in particular.
And nobody wants to spread things that are demonstrably false or fake news, and everybody has been in a position where you see this story and you're wondering whether it's true, and maybe
Hmm.
you even shared it with somebody and later found out that it wasn't exactly true, and nobody likes for that to happen. But when you've got one body, right, this
Hmm.
governing body who's deciding what's true and what's false, and it seems to have a little bit of a slant to it, and they're checking everything you can. I think that as Americans, we should understand that the cure for bad speech is more speech. It's not
Hmm.
restricting speech and putting prior restraints on everything. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. Yeah. You make a good point, Mike. It's unfortunate to see where we are now. It really is. It's a
Uh,
bit scary, to be honest with you.
so, thanks for going out there. Do you have anything you want our
Oh, yeah.
audience to know, who the people who obviously didn't get to go down might want to know that? And
Yeah.
I
The
shouldn't say
thing.
obviously, because you said that there were people from all over the place down there, right?
Yeah, I talked to a lot of people, just engage in natural conversation with them. And a lot of people came from out of town. They got, some people got hotel rooms, some people made long journeys. I talked to a really nice guy from North Carolina who came up, another guy from Florida. Obviously not too many DC residents because we know they're like 110% Democrat, I think. But
That's right. You
that's right. Maybe that's where the extra votes are coming
That's a good point, though. That is a good point,
from.
because
Yeah. Hmm.
I think they went 93% for Biden this election. So obviously, the vast majority of DC is Democrat. And when you saw these marches that were going on after Trump won the election in 2016,
Hmm.
people were already there, right? The people who
That's
didn't
right.
like the outcome were already there. So to see this many people being there, they're coming from all over the place. DC isn't exactly the place most conducive to this type of a political rally, is it?
No, it's really not. And they did have a lot of the roadblocks, right around the main area down there by the Lincoln Memorial and Capitol and all that. So you had to take the train in at some point or walk in. So people were making an effort to be there. Um, and one of the biggest things I noticed, having spent time here in Philly documenting what happened during the quote unquote peaceful protests versus what I saw today, which was a legitimate peaceful protest, um, and the way they were misrepresenting it yesterday about what it was going to be. I think it's very concerning, and we have to be very careful about how much faith we're putting in these social media platforms at this point. Obviously, I think everybody knows that. I don't need to tell them, but it's getting to the point where it's quite Orwellian and concerning, because it's just not representing the truth at all anymore. Because I saw nothing but peaceful protesting today, except for just a couple minutes of verbal disputes. I never saw any true physical encounters, which were pretty common here in Philly.
Yeah, and the media was saying that you had all kinds of concerns that this was going to get real ugly real quick, but no
Right.
concerns whatsoever for anything that took place the last
No,
7 months
no.
to support the leftist agenda, right?
Yeah, much more relaxing today than the time I spent in Philly. Yeah.
So this is going to be our new thing, Philly Chris. We talked about the propaganda posters from the Soviet Union on our last
Oh
episode,
yeah.
and how
Right.
everybody's got to check out those propaganda posters. One of them is the cosmonaut. It says Boga Niet, which
Hmm.
means there is no God. So from now on, whenever we hear anything that's perpetuated by the mainstream media that's obviously false and obviously propaganda, we're just going to say Boga Niet, okay?
Bogan yet.
Yeah. And it's going to be a secret handshake for the Mike G in the morning audience.
Yeah. We'll have to come up with something.
All right. Thanks again, Philly Chris.
Thank you, and thanks to our listeners. Peace, everybody.